Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Gopinatha Radha Gopinatha Shri Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Kali Yuga Pavan Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 10. Chapter is entitled Divisions of the Creation, text number 13. Yathedanim tathagre cha paschadapi etadidrisham. Yathedanim tathagre cha paschadapi etadidrisham. Yathedanim tathagre cha paschadapi etadidrisham. Mataji's translation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: This cosmic manifestation is as it is now. It was the same in the past and it will continue in the same way in the future. Purport: There is a systematic schedule for the perpetual manifestation, maintenance and annihilation of the material world as stated in Bhagavad Gita 9.8. Bhutagramam imam kritsnam avasham prakrute vashat. As it is created now and as it will be destroyed later on, so also it existed in the past and again it will be created, maintained and destroyed in due course of time. Therefore, the systematic activities of the time factor are perpetual and eternal and cannot be stated to be false. The manifestation is temporary and occasional, but it is not false as claimed by the Mayavadi philosophers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshururmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Shri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Paramananda Madhavam. This cosmic manifestation is as it is now, it was the same in the past, and it will continue in the same way in the future. Hare Krishna, we welcome all the devotees for our morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Seek the blessings of all the devotees so that I can speak something for my purification. So, this third canto is all about Brahmaji creating this universe. He is in charge of Visarga, that is secondary creation, and so much detailed description has been given in Srimad Bhagavatam about how Brahmaji undergoes this process of creation. So today I thought we will draw some parallels between the mood and the mission of Srila Brahmaji and the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada. So there are many parallels. I could think of 6 parallels that we can draw between the mood and mission of Brahmaji and Srila Prabhupada. So the first parallel that we can see here from the life of Brahmaji and from Srila Prabhupada is that Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu instructed Lord Brahma to do the huge and humongous and a thumping task of creation, which he himself thought was very much unqualified to do so. Similarly, we see in life of Srila Prabhupada how the representative of Lord Vishnu, the ray of Vishnu, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he also ordered and instructed, gave a very huge and a humongous task of actually creating the world of ISKCON. In a way, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ordered him to go to the Western country and preach the message of Lord Chaitanya in the English language and come up with this beautiful, wonderful, glorious, unparalleled society called ISKCON. When Pratapruddha Maharaj saw the kirtan happening during the Jagannath Rath Yatra at Jagannath Puri, he is asking Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who all are these people? So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, Bhattacharya kahe ei madhura vachan, chaitanyera srishti ei prema sankirtan. He says that this is Chaitanyera Srishti. This is another world created by Lord Chaitanya in the form of this Prema Sankirtan. Similarly, Prabhupadera Srishti, we can say this ISKCON is actually the creation of Srila Prabhupada. And just as creation for Brahmaji was no small a task, similarly for Srila Prabhupada, creating ISKCON was no less, a creation that Brahmaji underwent. This is the first parallel that we can learn. Also, the second parallel is just as when Lord ordered Brahmaji to take up to this service, Brahmaji seriously took this instruction and he's holding this instruction on his head. Similarly, we also see in case of Srila Prabhupada, when Prabhupada was ordered by his spiritual master, Prabhupada took this instruction as his life and soul. He took this instruction very seriously. The third parallel is before Brahmaji even made an attempt to begin creating or creation, he offered series of prayers to Lord Vishnu. Similarly, we see Prabhupada, before embarking on this journey of preaching in the English-speaking world in the Western country, Prabhupada also offered series of prayers to Lord Krishna. And these prayers were directly coming from his heart, as we all have heard Prabhupada writing Markine Bhagavad Dharma while he was on board Jaladuta on the way to America. So Brahmaji is offering wonderful prayers, pleading the Lord to empower him. Similarly, Prabhupada is also pleading, beseeching the Lord to please empower him, so that his words will come true. The fourth parallel that we can learn here between Brahmaji and the life of Srila Prabhupada is Brahmaji, when Brahmaji had this service of creating, Brahmaji actually was very pained to see the suffering of so many living entities. Brahmaji, while offering prayers to Lord Vishnu, he says, Shutritridhatu birima muhurardhyamanam shitoshnavatavarsher itaretarascha kamadina kamagnina chudarusham chasudurbharena sampashyato mana urukramasida me. My heart is pained to see the suffering of so many living entities going through Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik kleshas. My dear Lord, it is so painful that I actually have to see them suffering. And we see even in case of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada was so much pained to see the suffering of the living entities, not just in the Western world, but all across the globe. Rajastamo guner ere sabai achanna Vasudeva katharuchi nahi se prasanna. So Prabhupada, while he's offering his prayer to Lord to Lord on Jaladuta, Prabhupada is actually saying to Lord, my dear Lord, most of the population here is covered by the material modes of passion and ignorance, and they are so much absorbed in material life that they think themselves to be happy, although they are suffering, and they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudev. So Prabhupada is equally pained. Prabhupada is unable to bear the sufferings of the living entities, just as we see Brahmaji offering prayers to Lord Vishnu, and he's saying, Sampashyato mana urukrama sidati me. It is so very painful, my dear Lord. This is the fourth parallel between the mood and mission of Brahmaji and Srila Prabhupada. Fifth, when Lord ordered Brahmaji to perform this huge task of creation, Brahmaji single-handedly took up this mission. There was no one initially to really offer an helping hand to Brahmaji. And we see in case of Srila Prabhupada also, when Prabhupada was ordered by his spiritual master, there was no one, practically no one, who came forward to offer any help to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada single-handedly took up to this mission. Later on, Brahmaji, when he created, then he got some helping hands who helped Brahmaji to expand in the process of creation. Similarly, initially Prabhupada was all alone, single-handedly he started this mission, but later on, slowly, he got some helping hand, and because of which the creation of ISKCON actually took place. This is the fifth parallel. And the sixth is when Brahmaji got the darshan of the audience of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, Brahmaji developed 4 things. And similarly, we see in the life of Srila Prabhupada, when Prabhupada met and Prabhupada received the order of his spiritual master, the perfect representative of Lord Vishnu, the ray of Vishnu, he also developed these 4 things which are very parallel from the life of Brahmaji. So Brahmaji developed 4C. The first is clarity of vision. Initially, Brahmaji was not so clear, but after getting the darshan of the Lord, Brahmaji got the clarity of vision, spashtata. Second, Brahmaji got the conviction of the heart, that is dridata. Third, Brahmaji developed karunyata or compassion for the living entities, although he had to do this task, but it was purely, solely out of compassion. And the fourth quality that Brahmaji developed was the courage to take up to this task. So it was clarity of the vision, conviction of the heart, compassion for all the living entities, and fourth is courage to take up to this task. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada, after meeting his spiritual master, Prabhupada also developed clarity of vision, conviction of the heart. He was thoroughly convinced that the message of Lord Chaitanya is in the hand of perfect right person. And also the compassion to preach all across. And the fourth is courage. It was no small thing to go at that age. It takes a lot of courage to really take up to the message, take up to the instruction of spiritual master to heart. So this courage is what even Srila Prabhupada had. And courage is, so this is the sixth parallel that we can see from the life of Brahmaji and Srila Prabhupada. Even so, I just thought I'll speak today on Prabhupada being courageous. Of these four, I thought of speaking about this fourth aspect of how Brahmaji was so courageous that single-handedly he took up to this service. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada being courageous, he single-handedly took up to this instruction. Of course, courage is not just one-dimensional. There could be many dimensions to somebody being courageous. So today we will see 6 types of courage that Prabhupada exhibited in order to preach and spread and share the message of Lord Chaitanya. So the first courage that Prabhupada exhibited was, of course, physical courage. What is physical courage? Physical courage means exhibiting bravery, in case of physical danger. Or physical courage also means to take up risk, or risking one's life to save someone else. That is physical courage. And we all know how much physical courage that Prabhupada had. We have series of pastimes which can demonstrate this quality of Prabhupada being physically so courageous. We all know when Prabhupada went America for the first time, he was in Bowery in New York, Manhattan. Prabhupada was living with a young boy whose name was David Allen. He was a great artist, but at the same time, unfortunately, he was very much addicted to drugs. And many times, because of his excessive drug intake, this young boy would get violent. And one night, all of a sudden, he entered into the room. Prabhupada was there in the room all alone, and he became so violent, he actually ran to cause injury to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, who had no money, who had no that much language or communication skill with the people around at that point of time, Prabhupada did not have any shelter to go. Prabhupada, very cool, gently, calmly, he picked up his few belongings that he had, and he moved out of that place, and not knowing where he will go. But he just did not fear. He just, he was so much Krishna driven, Paramatma driven. Paramatma gave him the intelligence, and he just left that place very without any complaint or without any grudges holding towards that young boy. This is just one example. One time Prabhupada was in the Montreal temple, and all of a sudden a cockroach came, and all the devotees got very scared. Prabhupada very gently picked up that cockroach, took that cockroach, opened the window, and threw that cockroach out. And Prabhupada is telling to this cockroach, I am giving you this whole world. This world is yours. Please enjoy. No? And devotees were like, no, they were so scared. And Prabhupada here he's just, as if nothing happened. Badrinarayan Swami Maharaj recalls they were on a morning walk in Chicago at a place called Lecho Park. And all of a sudden, this is a very well-known pastime, all of a sudden a huge, tall dog started running towards Prabhupada. There were so many disciples of Srila Prabhupada who were following Prabhupada, and all these disciples got so scared. 3-4 disciples, they went and hid behind the car. 2-3 disciples, they hid behind Brahmanand Swami. Now Brahmanand Swami was so huge, so they thought, we'll take shelter of Brahmanand Swami. They hid behind Brahmanand Swami. And Prabhupada was left all alone. Badrinarayan Maharaj, he recalls saying that Prabhupada, he just took his chadar, and just like Krishna, while fighting with the demons, just as Krishna, he just tied up his waistcloth. Prabhupada, he just took his chadar on his shoulder, took the cane and said, "Hut!" to that dog, and that dog just ran away. All these devotees, when they saw this, they were so embarrassed. We left Prabhupada all alone, and Prabhupada on his own had to face this dog. So devotees, they begged forgiveness from Prabhupada. And while they were moving ahead, one more dog came and started chasing the devotees. So one sannyasi, he also thought, maybe, I will also do the same. So he also went in front, boldly in front of the dog, and said, "Hut!" And this dog actually pounced upon this sannyasi, and Prabhupada started laughing, and Prabhupada said, "You need to know the science behind this." So this was, Prabhupada so courageous when all these young devotees and disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they would get scared and they could not face. Prabhupada could just, Prabhupada was just right there. Like this, there are many series of examples. Oh yeah, we have time. Okay. One time Prabhupada was in Mayapur. All of a sudden, Prabhupada arrived in Mayapur, and the Prabhupada quarters were not yet ready. The toilets were yet to be fixed, but Prabhupada decided that he would stay on the 3rd floor only. So Jayapataka Maharaj recalls that how Prabhupada went to the bathroom, and all of a sudden he called out, "Jayapataka, Jayapataka." And Jayapataka Swami Maharaj ran, and he was aghast to see that Prabhupada had his door half shut, and there was a huge venomous snake that was stuck in the door. Prabhupada, all alone, actually that snake was there in the bathroom, and as soon as Prabhupada saw, Prabhupada on his own, he just shut the door in such a way that the snake got stuck there. And then Jayapataka Maharaj came and other disciples came, and they moved Prabhupada out of that of that scene. And Jayapataka Maharaj writes that how Prabhupada was completely calm and composed, and he was unaffected. And above that, Prabhupada is saying that because there is one snake here, the snakes move in pairs. So definitely there should be one more snake we should try to locate. But he said that Prabhupada did not panic at all. So this is how Prabhupada exhibited his physical courage at different points, different times in his preaching of Krishna consciousness. The second type of courage is called social courage. Now, what is social courage? Social courage is a courage to be oneself. To stand to be willing to stand against the wrong, even when it means facing social disapproval. People like, people don't like, people approve, people don't approve, whether people believe, don't believe. Yes, we will stand for the right. That is called as social courage. And many such pastimes in connection to how Prabhupada was so courageous at the social level. Prabhupada was one time looking at the newspaper, and he all of a sudden read about the moonshot, no landing of the no the scientist landing on the moon. Prabhupada, and it was written there. The headline stated, "One small step for man and one great step for mankind." This was the headline that read. Prabhupada immediately flicked and went on the fourth and the fifth page. And there, Prabhupada read an article about how taxes were going up to pay for space program. So basically, they were collecting taxes, and people, for they were actually promising that we will create, land for all of you. So people were paying for it, and Prabhupada just boldly said, "This is their real business. They have made some scheme to squeeze money innocent public. This moon expedition is just a side show." So this was Prabhupada. When the whole world was fully into 100% believing that man landed on the moon, Prabhupada, he stood all alone in spite of facing social disapproval. One time Prabhupada was on a morning walk, and Prabhupada said that this philosophy called yato mat tato pat is actually atheism, is actually not bona fide. And then Prabhupada said this Daridra Narayan philosophy is also bogus. Prabhupada said that these people say that Narayan is not in the temple, but Narayan is in the poor, in the hearts of poor. So you should worship, you should serve the poor. So then Prabhupada said, if Narayan is in the poor man, Narayan is in the heart of poor man, then why isn't Narayan in the heart of rich people also? And then Prabhupada said, if Narayan is in the heart of poor man, then he is also in the heart of poor chicken. Then why is it that they serve poor man and they kill that poor chicken? So Prabhupada said that there is nothing wrong in serving the poor, but Lord Narayan can never be Daridra. So there was one Gujarati gentleman who was also a part of this morning walk, Mr. Shah. When he heard Prabhupada saying this, he raised his voice and he became very vocal. He said, Swamiji, he's telling that Swamiji, why is it that you have to criticize everybody? You should respect everyone. You should respect all other saintly people. You think you are the only one who is right? That is not good. Prabhupada, so all the devotees, they became very upset. And they were actually about to physically move this person aside. Prabhupada said, no, let him speak. Let him continue speaking. And then Prabhupada gently told this gentleman, Mr. Shah, that I am not speaking anything of my own. I am just repeating the words of Krishna. Krishna says, Namam dushkruti no mudha prapadyante naradama mayaya pritagyana asurim bhavam ashvita. And then Prabhupada said, no, I have nothing against any person. I am just teaching my disciples how to judge what is right and what is wrong on their own. And then all the devotees came to the temple, and devotees were offering Prabhupada the Guru Puja. And while all the devotees were offering flowers to Srila Prabhupada, Mr. Shah also went and offered flower to Srila Prabhupada, and he started crying like a small baby. And then he fell at the feet of Prabhupada asking forgiveness. And then Prabhupada said, no, 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 don't worry. It's okay, it's okay. From tomorrow onwards, we will not discuss anything like this. Do not worry. So Prabhupada, he spoke everything crystal clear. He spoke the facts. He spoke the truth in spite whether people agreed, disagreed. This is a perfect example of social courage. Prabhupada exhibited that courage at that level. And then third courage is called moral courage. Moral courage. What is moral courage? Moral courage is the courage to do the right, to follow the moral principles in spite of the whole world, whether following or not following. To stand up for one's own principle is what is called as moral courage. And we all know how when Prabhupada went to America in the 1960s, so many influential figures and prospective potential donors approached Srila Prabhupada. They approached Srila Prabhupada and told Swamiji, all that you need to do is tone down. All that you need to do is water down your teachings of Krishna consciousness, and that will make this entire Krishna consciousness so appealing to the Western audience. So they said, Swamiji, do only this much. The first thing that they said is, don't ever insist on these four regulative principles. Don't ever insist. Second, tone down chanting. Tell them, you can chant if you like to do. So tone down chanting and tone down the traditional dress that you have decided for all of your disciples. And then make this entire teachings of yours more like a philosophy than any religion. Than making them feel that they are a part of some religion. So Prabhupada refused to compromise, and Prabhupada, he boldly said that if I dilute the message, it will have no effect. I have not come to flatter people. I have come to give them Krishna. And we all know this famous pastime, this famous musical band called Fugs. These bands, they used to write passionate songs and they used to sing passionate music. And one evening, they all came and attended Srila Prabhupada's kirtan. And when they joined Prabhupada singing, they all participated and they were so joyful and playing all the musical instruments along with Prabhupada singing. And after that, the devotees were thinking, Prabhupada should not give any heavy talk. So devotees told all these, the band of people, the musical band to come and sit for the class. They all sat for the class, and lo and behold, Prabhupada spoke so heavily on the effects of sense gratification that all of a sudden in the middle, all these gentlemen, young man and woman, they got up and they left. After the program, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, we think it is not strategic to speak about sense gratification to be so bad in this hippie land. It is not that bad. It is as if you are telling someone to fast when everyone around them is feasting. And then Prabhupada made this profound statement where Prabhupada said that, no, I have not come to please Americans. I have come here to please Krishna. So this is the perfect example of moral courage where Prabhupada, he at any given point of time never ever compromised. There's one more wonderful pastime. Yamuna Mataji recalls that devotees were invited to come and do kirtan at nightclubs. So all the devotees, many devotees, they went for kirtan at the nightclub, and they would come back late night or early morning. So this news was reported to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada next day, he met all the devotees and he said that these places are actually not good for brahmacharis. The principle is that we have to make devotees for sure, no, but we have to think where we are going. If we are going somewhere to preach, but we can't make anyone devotees there, then what is the use? So Yamuna Mataji says that Prabhupada did not forbid them to go and preach at the nightclub, but Prabhupada said, be very careful. So devotees, so devotees at that point of time realized, how important it was that we also, along with preaching to others, we need to preach ourselves first and keep our Krishna consciousness steady. The fourth courage that Prabhupada exhibited was the emotional courage. Emotional courage means the courage to face, courage to experience extreme degrees of emotion. The negative emotion as well as the positive ones. And when someone is able to handle the extreme degrees of emotions, the success or the failure, or honor, dishonor, happiness, distress. As Lord Krishna says, Sukhe dukhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yudhyaya yudhyasva naivam papam avapsyasi. So these are the extreme degrees of emotions that a person may have to go through in one's life. And Prabhupada, we all know, Prabhupada had the daring, had the courage to face these extreme degrees of emotion. There were times when Prabhupada's business was flourishing, and all of a sudden Prabhupada's business underwent, it was like a sudden collapse. And still Prabhupada took that as the mercy of the Lord. What is that verse? Tasyaham anugrinami harishye tad dhanam kshanet. Prabhupada saw him losing the entire business as the perfect arrangement of the Lord. And Prabhupada told many times to his disciple that Krishna tested me twice. One, when Krishna took away everything from me that I had in life. And then the second, Krishna tested me when he gave me everything that the world would want to have. So Prabhupada experienced the extreme degrees of emotions, and we all can see the degree of pain that Prabhupada would experience when his disciple would leave. But even without anyone knowing, Prabhupada would be sitting on the Vyasasana and speaking so boldly and inspiring so many of his disciples. Such intense time Prabhupada underwent when the entire Juhu project was jeopardized. And Prabhupada would be waiting for His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj to come and give the news. And Prabhupada would sometimes call Giriraj Maharaj. Prabhupada would be sitting on the Vyasasana, and Prabhupada would all of a sudden call Giriraj Maharaj and ask, what's the news? He was so eager to know. And then he would start speaking as if nothing is going around. The difficult times that he's facing, only he could actually feel the pressure. But in spite of all that pressure, he just went on and on and on. This is the classic example of emotional courage. And the fifth type of courage is intellectual courage. This is the courage to question assumptions. This is the courage to learn, unlearn, and relearn. That is called intellectual courage, or what we call as Bauddhik Sahas. We all know the famous classic example of how Srila Prabhupada challenged the modern day scientist. Just before Prabhupada leaving this world in the year 1977 at Vrindavan, in Vrindavan, Prabhupada arranged conference, science conference. And this conference was all about inviting all the modern day scientists, and Prabhupada told his disciple, His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, to lead this conference and challenge the materialistic claims of modern biology and evolution theory. So Prabhupada, although in Vrindavan, in the heart of devotion, Prabhupada was very clear and very convinced about the philosophy that he preached, and he very boldly challenged the modern day scientific theories. In fact, one more example of intellectual courage is how Prabhupada was willing to learn newer and newer things, unlearn and relearn. When Prabhupada, we all know I think it was in 1967 that Prabhupada had a major stroke. So devotees, they called for the doctor, and Prabhupada did not want to go to the hospital, but the doctor came and visited and gave a house visit to check Srila Prabhupada. And this doctor, he looked at Prabhupada and he told to all his disciples that your Swamiji prays too much. I think he should go out and do some exercise. So the devotees, they told this doctor, how dare you tell anything to Prabhupada? But Prabhupada heard this, and Prabhupada said, oh yes, maybe Krishna is telling me that now on I should go on a morning walk. So from there on started a new and a wonderful pastime of Srila Prabhupada, every single day, without fail, going on a morning walk. And there are so many morning walk conversations that we know and that we have that has been recorded. And one time Prabhupada was in Switzerland, and while he was in Switzerland, it was snowing outside, but it was morning time. So then Prabhupada decided he has to go for the morning walk. So then Prabhupada came out of his room from the hotel, and Prabhupada took a walk in the corridor in the hotel where he was staying. But he did not miss out on his daily routine of going for a morning walk. So Prabhupada was, and we all know there's one more pastime when Prabhupada was distributing pamphlets on the streets of Delhi. One postman came and told Prabhupada, unless and until you write books and print books, no one is going to really listen to what you basically preach. And Prabhupada took this to his heart, and Prabhupada then started Beat Back to Godhead magazine and writing books. So Prabhupada also had that intellectual courage to present the philosophy in such a way that the opposite person would get convinced. And Prabhupada had that presence of mind and such sharp intellect. His Grace Brahmanand Prabhu was recalling that in the initial days when both the brothers, Brahmanand Swami and Gargamuni, they both left their home. One time they went back to their home, and they saw that at their house they used to still cook non-vegetarian food. So they decided that we will cook on our own. So then the mother asked, what is all this going on? So they said, what can we do? The kitchen is contaminated. The utensils are contaminated. We are going to cook on our own. So then the next day, Brahmanand Swami's mother went to Srila Prabhupada before the program began in the evening. And she went to Prabhupada to visit Prabhupada. And then at that point of time, Prabhupada offered her a metal chair to sit on. No, there used to be some metal chair for all the VIP guests who could not sit on the floor. So Prabhupada offered Brahmanand Swami's mother a chair to sit, and Prabhupada himself sat on the ground. And then she asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, what are you doing with my boys? So Prabhupada started speaking, and then finally Prabhupada told her, actually, you asked me, what are you doing with my boys? I am actually taking care of them. I am feeding them, I am maintaining them. Otherwise, they were loitering on the street. I picked them up, and now just see how wonderful these young boys have become. And then Prabhupada said, actually, there is no income that comes, and there is no income that we have to maintain your boys. If you don't mind, can you give us some donation? So she was taken aback, and she said, donation? I have already given donation. I have already given my 2 boys. Prabhupada said, oh, that's very nice. Thank you very much. No? So this is how Prabhupada was so genius when it came to interacting and convincing people at different level, whether they were young boys and girls, whether they were elderly gentlemen and gentlewomen. Prabhupada was so sharp and so witty, so humorous, and so very, very compassionate while dealing with the guest who came. And then the last type of courage is the spiritual courage. So we have discussed 5 types of courage till now. The first is physical courage. Second is social courage. Third is moral courage. Fourth is emotional courage. Fifth is intellectual courage. And the sixth being spiritual courage. And how Prabhupada, obviously, what is spiritual courage? We see in life of Prabhupada was so convinced, the courage to see beyond just the facade, courage to see beyond the superficiality of this world. Prabhupada had the courage to visualize the invisible, to feel the intangible. And Prabhupada, he was always on the move to explore one's own beliefs. And Prabhupada had the courage to instill that faith even in the faithless and agnostic and atheistic mindset of people. So just time, I'll just share one example in this connection. Prabhupada was having a meeting with, at that point of time, a very well-known personality called Allen Ginsberg. So Prabhupada had one of the sessions with Allen Ginsberg, and Prabhupada was discussing about the nature of Kali Yuga. What is going to happen after a certain time span when the Kali Yuga progresses? So Prabhupada started explaining to Allen Ginsberg what will be the dark effect of Kali Yuga on the people, where people would themselves become cannibals. As the time progresses, as this age moves ahead, animal would be definitely carnivorous, but people would also become cannibals. And how people, if they try to eat some fruit, No, fruit will have a bigger seed and a thicker, say, skin. There will hardly be any pulp to eat. And then Prabhupada went on and on describing the effect of Kali Yuga. And then Prabhupada said that, no, the spiritually minded people will have to go and stay in the caves. So at that point of time, Allen Ginsberg interjected Prabhupada and said, "Oh, is it so? Then Swamiji, what about your disciples? Will they also be seen in the caves at that point of time?" Prabhupada fearlessly, without a second thought, Prabhupada said, "No, by that time all my disciples would have gone back home, back to Godhead." And then Allen Ginsberg was so surprised. He's saying, "Oh, really?" Prabhupada said, "Yes, they are all very advanced. They are going to go back very shortly because they all are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare." And Prabhupada said they are all taking part in this process. So they are all becoming pure devotees in this lifetime. So then Allen Ginsberg asked, "Swamiji, then what about all of us? What about the remaining of the people who are going to be here?" Prabhupada said, "As the yuga progresses, I will eat you and you will eat me. So better don't think of staying here. Better make your plans to go back home, back to Godhead." So this was Prabhupada having that spiritual courage to convince others. How he was so very much convinced, and he had that ability to convince and instill that faith even in the faithless. Govindadasi Mataji recalls that how Srila Prabhupada would sit with His Grace Shyam Sundar Prabhu. She said that we were so young, we did not even know how to brush our teeth. We couldn't even get along with each other. But Prabhupada would sit with His Grace Shyam Sundar Prabhu with a globe around. And Prabhupada would turn the globe and then he would indicate, "Oh, my disciple will go to this part of the world and preach." And then Prabhupada would say, "Shyam Sundar, we should go to Russia." And then Govindadasi Mataji, she said that Prabhupada had a keen desire to go to Russia, although at that point of time it was so very difficult to enter into Russia. What to speak of speaking any spiritual knowledge, spiritual philosophy to them. So Mataji, she mentions that this was the eagerness with which Prabhupada wanted to share and spread spirituality all across the globe. And Prabhupada did it all alone. So we were discussing about the parallels between the mood and mission of Brahmaji and the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada, and how the 6 parallels that we saw, the final one being how Brahmaji was courageous, that he single-handedly took up to this service of creating this entire material creation. Similarly, Prabhupada very much synced with the mood and mission of Brahmaji. So Brahma being the Sampradaya Acharya and Srila Prabhupada being the founder Acharya, we see a complete harmony, sync and alignment in their mood and mission while serving the Supreme Lord. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.